Welcome to Starbound. My name is Chikondi and I'll be your narrator today. But before we get into today's story, please quickly check below to see if you've subscribed to the channel. It's 100% free, and it just helps make sure that our videos pop up in your feed more often. Vex Solano trudged up the grimy stairwell to her apartment, each step heavier than the last. 12 hours of installing subpar body mods for clients who deserved better had left her drained. Her cybernetic right hand glitched, fingers spasming as she reached for the railing.
"Piece of junk,"
she muttered, thumping the palm against her thigh. The fingers realigned with a mechanical whir. Another day, another workaround with scrap parts. As she approached her apartment door, the acrid smell of electrical smoke seeped through the cracks. A muffled explosion rattled the hinges, followed by maniacal laughter.
"Not again,"
Vex groaned, pressing her thumb against the scanner.
"If he's turned my sonic shower into a particle accelerator."
The door slid open to reveal a disaster zone. Their modest living space had been transformed into a chaotic workshop of dismantled appliances. In the center of the hurricane stood Theo Mackinnon, his wild hair scorched at the edges, dancing around a pulsating blue device on the kitchen counter.
"Is that my coffee maker?"
Vex's exhaustion evaporated into rage. Theo spun around, his face split with a manic grin. "Vex! Perfect timing! I fixed it!"
"Fixed what? Our apartment's warranty?"
She gestured at the devastation.
"Our fridge is in pieces, the microwave's gutted, and—"
Her voice cracked.
"That's definitely my coffee maker!"
No! I fixed space travel!" Theo waved his hands emphatically, nearly knocking over the glowing contraption. Look! Despite herself, Vex moved closer. The device hummed with energy, a small field of blue light rippling around it. "You know how the Querzillion drives waste energy on stabilizing the quantum field?" Theo's words tumbled out in a rush. "So I thought, what if we don't try to stabilize it? What if we let it fluctuate but channel the resonance back into the propulsion system?" Vex squinted.
"That would cause cascade failure. Every engineering manual says—"
"Written by 4-armed bureaucrats who haven't had a new idea in centuries!" Theo picked up the device, cradling it like a newborn. "Human thinking, Vex. We see broken, we fix broken, even if fixing means breaking it differently."
"So you, created an unstable drive?"
"A controlled unstable drive." Theo's eyes gleamed. 80% less energy consumption, 35% speed increase. And I could explain how, but I'd need the toaster as a visual aid and, well... He glanced guiltily at the toaster's eviscerated remains. Vex's anger began melting into amazement as the implications sank in.
"Wait, you're serious? You actually solved the efficiency problem?"
"Solved it, packaged it, and put a little bow on top." Theo set the device down gently. "Just needs field testing. Which is why I was hoping to use the neighbor's pest control drone, but apparently that's theft and dangerous modification of public safety equipment." Theo scrunched his nose in annoyance. Vex circled the kitchen counter, her mind racing with calculations.
"Do you know what this means? We could revolutionize interplanetary transport. The Centauri conglomerate paid 3 billion credits for a 10% efficiency boost last year. This is...
Game-changing?
Life-changing,"
Vex corrected, visions of wealth dancing in her head.
"Our lives. We patent this, license it to the major corporations, and suddenly humans aren't just the galaxy's errand runners. We're innovators, pioneers, respected."
Theo's smile faltered. "Patent it?"
"Obviously. Then we negotiate with multiple bidders, drive up the price."
Whoa! Theo held up his hands. "I didn't make this to sell it." Vex blinked.
"Then why did you make it?"
"Because it needed making. Because people of all species are stuck on planets they hate, working jobs they hate, because they can't afford the fuel to go somewhere better." Theo gestured wildly.
The Vexarians on Outpost 9 spend half their yearly income just visiting their families. The Trills can't even afford to evacuate their dying moon. So we help them by becoming broke heroes instead of wealthy innovators? Vex's cybernetic hand twitched in frustration. This is our ticket out of here, Theo. Do you know what corporations would pay for this? That's exactly the problem. Theo's voice hardened. They'd pay, patent it, and keep charging people who need it, the same people who can't afford it now. That's how business works. That's how we prove humans aren't just cargo loaders and clerks. With more power, we can make more changes. By acting exactly like the corporations that keep us down? Theo scoffed. Where's the revolution in that? Vex pressed her fingers to her temples. Not everything needs to be a revolution. Maybe that's why nothing ever changes. Theo scrunched his nose once more. Vex looked away to avoid smacking him. Look, just think about it. Sleep on it. We'll talk tomorrow. Don't do anything stupid until we decide. Define stupid, Theo called as she shuffled toward her bedroom. Anything involving more of my appliances, she shouted back, collapsing on her bed without bothering to change clothes. As she drifted off, Vex dreamed of corporate boardrooms and handshakes, of proving to the galaxy that humans deserved their seat at the galactic government's table. Across the apartment, Theo watched her door close, then turned to his console with a determined expression. Sorry, Vex, he whispered, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Some things should belong to everyone. The upload to Galactic Hub began, blueprints and detailed instructions flowing freely into the digital commons of 1,000 worlds. Vex awoke to chaos. Her comm device buzzed incessantly on her nightstand, notification lights blinking with such frequency they created a makeshift strobe effect on her ceiling. She groaned, fumbling for the device with her organic hand. 97 messages, 623 new alerts, 32 urgent calls. What the? She squinted at the headlines scrolling across her screen. Human revolution in faster-than-light tech. Corporate stocks plummet as Makonnen method goes public. Interstellar travel costs slashed overnight. The bedroom door slid open, and Theo sauntered in, carrying a plate of something vaguely pancake-shaped and suspiciously blue. Morning, sunshine! He placed the plate on her nightstand with a flourish. Sleep well? I made breakfast. Well, something breakfast adjacent. The syrup might be engine coolant. Or not. That's the adventure. Vex sat bolt upright, brandishing her comm device. What did you do? The Makonnen method? Really? Don't you think using your last name is a little egocentric? Well, I didn't name it, Theo winced theatrically. And technically, I did exactly what I said I would. Fixed space travel. For everyone. You uploaded it. Vex's voice was deadly quiet. After I specifically asked you to wait. You were asleep for a full 6 hours! That's practically a lifetime! Theo backed toward the door. Besides, it was already done before our conversation. Morally, I mean, in my head. Vex launched herself out of bed, her rage propelling her forward faster than Theo could retreat. She grabbed the front of his shirt with her cybernetic hand, the fingers whirring as they tightened. You absolute idiot! You just gave away billions in potential revenue! This could have changed our lives! Theo didn't struggle against her grip. Wait! Look at your feed! We're changing everyone's lives! Still clutching his shirt, Vex dragged him to the living room view screen. Show me! Theo activated the display with a flick of his wrist. Channels flashed across the screen, each showing different corners of the Empyrean impact. A decrepit transport ship, its engines retrofitted with glowing blue modifications, launching with half its usual fuel. Commuters celebrating as transit times between Empyrean and the outer colonies dropped from days to hours. An elderly citizen of the Trill species embracing his grandchildren for the first time, tears streaming down his weather-beaten face.
Workers from distant planets flooding Empyrean's job centers, suddenly able to commute from affordable housing systems away. Vex's potential clients, beings of all species with mobility challenges, watching installation tutorials for Theo's device on their own ships. Her grip on Theo's shirt gradually loosened.
They're implementing it everywhere,
she murmured. That's the beauty of open source. Theo gently removed her hand. No committees, no approvals, no waiting for the privileged to decide when the rest deserve access. On screen, a Trill family wept as they boarded a transport to their homeworld, a journey previously unaffordable.
We could have helped them and made ourselves rich,
Vex insisted, but her voice lacked conviction. We can still make a living, Theo countered, just not by restricting access to something they need. Look. He pointed to a news alert flashing on her comm. A local media outlet was requesting an interview with him, Empyrean's human innovators.
They found us already?
Vex's eyes widened. Hard to stay anonymous when you completely upend galactic transportation overnight, Theo shrugged. Plus, I may have put our address in the documentation for support questions.
You what?
A sharp knock interrupted her impending tirade. At their door stood a Querzilian reporter, flanked by hovering camera drones, antenna twitching with barely contained excitement.
Theo Mackinnon? Vex Solano?
The reporter's translator device buzzed with artificial pleasantry.
Zip Krolvac, Empyrean Central News. May we have a moment of your time?
Before Vex could object, Theo flung the door wide open. Come on in! Excuse the mess. Creativity is inherently chaotic. That's what I tell our landlord, anyway. The interview was a disaster from the start. The Querzilian's condescension dripped from every question, thinly veiled contempt for human achievement barely masked by journalistic professionalism.
How could a species that only achieved spaceflight 3 centuries ago develop something our best engineers missed?
Zip asked, antennae twitching skeptically. Vex, who had hastily made herself presentable, folded her arms.
Perhaps because we haven't been taught that everything's already perfect.
We break stuff. A lot, Theo added cheerfully. Sometimes it works better afterward.
But releasing it freely? Surely humans understand basic economics.
The reporter's arms gestured dismissively. Theo leaned forward, eyes locked on the camera drone. What, you think we're gonna charge people to make their ships not explode? That's some real alien thinking right there. The reporter's antennae flattened in annoyance. The interview continued with increasingly pointed questions, but Theo's quip had already gone viral across the galactic feeds. After the reporter left, Vex collapsed onto their salvaged couch.
Well, we're famous now, and probably on several corporate hit lists.
Fame was inevitable. I'm too pretty to stay anonymous. Theo flopped down beside her. The hit lists are new, though. Vex scrolled through her feed, watching countless beings implement Theo's designs. Engineers adding their own tweaks, small transport companies slashing their fares. And then, buried in her messages, she found requests, hundreds of them, from clients and strangers alike, asking if she could help them with body modifications now that transport to her area was affordable. Something clicked in her mind.
Theo,
she said slowly,
I need to show you something.
She led him to her workspace, activating her private design terminal. Holographic blueprints sprang to life, intricate body modifications that adapted to users over time, growing and changing with their needs.
These are my adaptive designs, she explained. Technology that evolves with the user, stronger when needed, more flexible when appropriate, self-maintaining to reduce follow-up procedures.
Theo whistled.
This is beautiful work, Vex. Why haven't you implemented it? Because quality materials cost money. Because testing takes time. Because every species needs customization.
She gestured at the designs.
It would take years to bring this to market properly, and without corporate backing. You'd need to charge prices your clients can't afford, Theo finished, understanding dawning. But now? Vex's eyes gleamed. With your FTL improvements, my clients can reach me from anywhere. Engineers can help refine these designs for different species and... You're considering releasing them, Theo said quietly. Are you sure? I know how much these designs mean to you and... Theo shrugged. You could make a lot of money with designs like these. Vex's cybernetic hand flexed thoughtfully. Open source doesn't mean no business. It means a different kind of business. People will still need installations, maintenance, upgrades. They'll need someone who understands how it all works. Theo grinned. And that's you. That's me. Vex matched his smile, the first genuine smile since waking to chaos. Let's do this. Together, they compiled her designs, adding detailed instructions and compatibility notes for various species. Theo's fingers hovered over the upload button. Last chance to become a corporate sellout, he teased. Vex gently pushed his hand down on the control. Nah, you're right. Some things should be available to everyone. The upload began, completing the technological 1-2 punch that would reshape the galaxy. In boardrooms across Empyrean, executives were losing their minds. The Centauri conglomerate's transport division watched helplessly as their stock plummeted 60% in a single day. Morphtech Industries, the leading body modification corporation, demanded immediate legal action against human technology theft, despite having no proof that Vex had used any of their designs. The Galactic Patent Office crashed under the sheer volume of applications from corporations trying to claim variations of the human innovations. 3 patent clerks suffered nervous breakdowns. Another redesigned to implement Theo's design on his personal transport and start a new life on a pleasure planet. At the Interstellar Dominion headquarters, an emergency session had been convened to address what one council member termed economic terrorism of unprecedented scale. Meanwhile, blissfully unaware of the bureaucratic meltdown they'd caused, Vex and Theo were celebrating with cheap synthy ale in their apartment. To breaking stuff better, Theo raised his glass, clinking it against Vex's. I'll drink to that, Vex said, knocking back another swig. The explosion that blew their door off its hinges was so unexpected that Theo merely blinked at the smoke, ale still at his lips. 6 Dominion government agents in full tactical gear stormed in, weapons drawn. Theo Mekinen and Vex Solano, the lead agent announced through his helmet speaker. By authority of the Interstellar Dominion Economic Security Division, you are under arrest for technology proliferation, market disruption, and unauthorized innovation without permits. Unauthorized innovation? Theo lowered his drink. Is that actually a law, or are you making stuff up? It is as of 4 hours ago, the agent replied stiffly. Theo snorted. Retroactive legislation. How democratic, Vex muttered, slowly raising her hands, her cybernetic fingers twitching with nervous energy. Don't move! An agent trained his weapon on her mechanical hand. It's just a calibration issue, she explained. Though I could probably fix your helmet's air recycler. Your face is turning distinctly purple. Theo slipped behind Vex, whispering, On 3, kitchen cabinet, red canister. What? 3! Theo lunged for the kitchen, grabbed a red spray container, and twisted the nozzle backward. Dense, acrid smoke erupted, filling the apartment instantly. The agent's vision systems fritzed, their coordinated formation dissolving into chaos. Vex felt Theo grab her organic hand, pulling her toward the single ventilation panel in the apartment. The government officials were too large to slip through the gap with all their gear. Emergency exit, he explained, yanking the panel open. Installed it 3 months ago when I thought the mailbot was spying on us. Was it? No, just a faulty visual sensor. But paranoia occasionally pays off. They crawled through the narrow shaft, emerging 2 floors down into the building's laundry facility. A startled Trill sorting clothing squeaked in alarm. Maintenance check, Theo announced with forced cheerfulness. Everything looks maintenance-y. Carry on! Theo, come on!
Vex grabbed Theo's hand. They hurried through the back exit into Empyrean's neon-washed streets. Above them, law enforcement drones were already scanning the crowds, facial recognition software seeking their features.
We need to change our appearance,
Vex hissed, dragging Theo into a narrow alley.
I've always thought I'd look distinguished with tentacles,
Theo mused.
Not that extreme.
Vex activated her cybernetic hands tool array, extending a small laser cutter.
Hold still.
5 minutes later, Theo's wild hair was cropped close to his scalp, and Vex had lightened her dark locks to a metallic silver using industrial dye from her hand's dispenser.
You look like a corporate compliance officer,
she told him, suppressing a laugh.
You look like you came from a planet where the sun is illegal,
he retorted, eyeing her gleaming hair. They merged back into the crowded thoroughfare, heads down, moving purposefully but not suspiciously toward the lower levels. Every public view screen they passed showed their unaltered faces labeled as economic disruptors and fugitives from justice.
Criminals,
Vex whispered.
We're actually criminals now.
Technically, we were already criminals. Housing code violations alone.
Not helping, Theo.
Vex's mechanical hand twitched with annoyance. They narrowly avoided 3 drone sweeps and a patrol of Dominion agents by ducking into shops, pretending to examine merchandise they couldn't afford even before becoming fugitives. After hours of improvised evasion, they found themselves in Sector 17, the industrial underbelly of Empyrean's gleaming metropolis. Here, the neon was sparser, the shadows deeper, and the inhabitants considerably less concerned with Dominion regulations.
Now what?
Vex asked, exhaustion creeping into her voice.
We can't run forever.
We don't have to, Theo replied, leading her toward a massive junkyard surrounded by electrified fencing.
Welcome to my supply depot. This is a scrapyard,
Vex observed.
No, this is the scrapyard with a capital S.
Theo approached a seemingly random section of fence and tapped a complex pattern on a rusted panel. The fence shimmered and a portion phased out of existence, revealing a hidden entrance. Home of every misfit who's ever had a problem with how the Dominion runs things. Beyond the fence lay an astonishing sight. What had appeared from outside to be piles of garbage were actually ingeniously disguised structures. Living quarters, workshops, and gathering spaces, all built from discarded technology and hidden from aerial surveillance. And it was bustling with activity. Beings of diverse species worked together on tech projects, many featuring Theo's blue glow or components recognizable from Vex's designs. Children played with toys clearly inspired by both human innovations. In one corner, a makeshift clinic had been established where a 4-armed Querzillion was installing simplified versions of Vex's adaptive modifications.
Theo!
A grizzled Kytherian with mechanical legs bounded over, clasping Theo in a crushing embrace.
You magnificent idiot! You're all over the feeds! Half the Dominion wants your head, the other half wants to build you a statue!
Preference for the statue option, obviously, Theo wheezed, extracting himself from the hug. Crix, this is Vex, the actual genius behind the body mod revolution. Crix turned to Vex with reverence.
Your work is changing lives down here. That Vinari over there,
he pointed to a teenager moving with surprising grace,
couldn't walk on Empyrean before. Gravity was too strong for her species. Now, watch her dance.
The Vinari demonstrated with a joyful leap that would have been impossible with standard prosthetics.
She adapted my designs,
Vex realized, studying the girl's movements.
The anchor points are completely reconfigured for low-mass species.
Everyone's adapting everything, Crix confirmed. It's a regular renaissance in the muck, and you two lit the fuse. Guess humans aren't as dumb as the Dominion Gov would have you believe, eh?
Crix said with a chuckle. A crowd had begun to gather, murmurs of recognition spreading. Suddenly, Vex and Theo were surrounded by grateful beings, each with a story of how the human innovations had improved their lives.
My family's together again.
I can work topside now. My pain is gone for the first time in years.
Vex felt overwhelmed. These weren't corporate success metrics or profit margins. These were real lives, transformed by technology freely given. At night, the scrapyard community provided them with secure quarters, a repurposed shipping container fitted with surprisingly comfortable amenities. Vex sat on the edge of her borrowed cot, reality finally sinking in.
We're fugitives. We've lost our home, our lives.
We found a new home, Theo countered, though the usual manic energy in his voice had dimmed. True, it smells like engine oil and questionable life choices, but it has character.
What if we made everything worse?
Vex stared at her cybernetic hand, watching the components shift beneath the transparent panels.
What if we crashed the economy these people depend on? What if...
Listen carefully, Theo interrupted, sitting beside her, because this might be the first smart thing I've ever said. Vex looked up, surprised by his serious tone.
I'm listening.
If the galaxy falls apart just because people are fixing broken things, Theo's eyes met hers, clear and certain. Maybe the problem isn't us. Weeks passed, and the galaxy didn't fall apart. It transformed. From their hideout in the scrapyard, Vex and Theo watched the changes unfold across pirated news feeds and secure communications channels. Their innovations had sparked something unexpected: collaboration. Engineers from rival corporations, frustrated by management's resistance to the new technologies, began quietly sharing their own improvements. Species long regarded as technological followers started contributing unique applications. A Trill engineer adapted Vex's neural interface for aquatic species. A Zethkari programmer streamlined Theo's energy redistribution algorithm.
They're not just using it,
Vex marveled, watching a live feed of a community workshop on Outpost 9.
They're making it better.
Turns out when you don't hoard knowledge, people build on it, Theo replied, sorting through scavenged components. Revolutionary concept, apparently. The scrapyard itself had evolved. What had been a hidden refuge was becoming an innovation hub. Vex established a clinic, teaching her techniques to anyone willing to learn. Theo's cataloging obsession found purpose in a collaborative archive of forgotten technology, each piece documented and shared with the growing Open Galaxy network. Most surprising was the shift in how humans were perceived. News commentators who had long dismissed humanity as the galaxy's laborers now analyzed human engineering philosophy. The species once relegated to cargo holds and data entry were being approached for their perspectives.
If 2 humans could release this much innovation,
one Crazilian pundit wondered aloud,
what other potential have we overlooked?
But not everyone embraced the change. The Dominion government continued its pursuit, though with notably less vigor as public opinion shifted. Corporate interests lobbied relentlessly for crackdowns on unregulated technology, though their own engineers were often secret contributors to the movement.
They can't stop it,
Crix declared during a visit to Vex and Theo's home, artificial legs propped on a table of salvaged metal.
It's too widespread now.
They don't need to stop it,
Vex countered.
They just need to control it.
As if summoned by her words, the scrapyard's alarm system blared. Proximity sensors had detected Dominion signatures approaching the perimeter. Not again, Theo groaned, reaching for his emergency pack. I've fled dramatically 4 times this month. My cardio can't take it. The trio rushed out of the house to see what the threat was. But the community's response was immediate and unified. Within minutes, a defensive perimeter formed, not with weapons, but with bodies. Hundreds of beings positioned themselves between the approaching officials and the section where Vex and Theo worked. A voice boomed through amplification systems.
This is Commissioner Zelthran of the Interstellar Dominion Innovation Directorate. We seek dialogue, not confrontation. No enforcement action will be taken today.
That's new, Theo muttered suspiciously. Through the crowd emerged a tall, elegantly attired Catharian flanked by aides of various species, but notably no armed guards. The community parted reluctantly, allowing the commissioner to approach, though watchful eyes followed his every movement.
Theo Mackinnon, Vex Solano.
The commissioner inclined his head respectfully.
Your reputation precedes you.
As does yours,
Vex replied cautiously.
The Innovation Directorate was formed only recently specifically to address technological disruption, which apparently means us.
Perceptive.
Zelthran's mouth curved in what his species considered a smile.
The Dominion recognizes the benefits of your approach.
You mean you couldn't stop it, and now you want to control it? Theo snorted.
Or they genuinely see the value,
Vex suggested, studying the commissioner.
Not everyone's the enemy, Theo.
Indeed.
Zelthran extended a data tablet.
We're offering amnesty and resources. The Open Galaxy Initiative, legitimized and supported, with you two as its architects.
The gathered crowd murmured with a mixture of hope and suspicion.
What's the catch?
Vex asked, not touching the tablet.
Oversight, standards, safety protocols.
Zelthran shrugged.
Bureaucracy, yes, but purposeful bureaucracy. Your innovations have improved countless lives, but unregulated implementation has risks.
So does stagnation, Theo countered.
Precisely why we need human perspective in the system.
The commissioner's tone grew sharper.
Let me be clear. The movement you've started is beyond our control. To truly suppress it would require measures the Dominion is unwilling to take. We could declare your technologies illegal, but we cannot arrest every being who implements them.
Sounds like a you problem, Theo smirked.
It's an everyone problem,
Zelthran corrected.
Without infrastructure, without maintenance facilities, without standardization, how long before modifications fail, before drives malfunction, before the people you sought to help suffer the consequences of good intentions without support systems? The two of you can't support intergalactic demands by yourself.
Vex felt the weight of his words. Already her clinic was overwhelmed with beings seeking help with self-implemented modifications gone wrong.
This offer expires today,
the commissioner concluded.
Work with us to build something sustainable, or remain independent and limited in your impact. The choice is yours.
After the commissioner departed, heated debate erupted throughout the scrapyard. Some saw opportunity, others betrayal, but all recognized the decision ultimately belonged to the two humans. In Vex's workshop, away from the clamor, she and Theo weighed their options. It could be a trap, Theo insisted, pacing nervously. Get us into the system, neutralize us, then slowly roll back everything we've done.
Or it could be exactly what we need to scale properly,
Vex countered.
They're right. We can't possibly maintain technology for an entire galaxy or ensure every implementation is safe.
Theo narrowed his eyes with suspicion. Working within the system means compromise, bureaucracy, forms in triplicate.
So we fix that too.
Vex's cybernetic hand closed into a determined fist.
We could fix a lot more from the inside.
Or become exactly what we're fighting against. Theo stopped pacing, leaning heavily against a workbench. Become corporate drones who forgot why we started this.
Maybe some systems are worth salvaging instead of scrapping.
Vex placed her organic hand on his shoulder.
We can set conditions, ensure technologies remain open, They didn't say we had to be closed source.
Vex smiled.
Besides, even if they do try to turn us into corporate drones, we upended their system before. We can do it again.
Theo was quiet for a long moment, then sighed dramatically. I guess if anyone can avoid selling out, it's the person who gave away millions in tech.
Is that a yes?
Vex raised her eyebrows hopefully. It's a reluctant, suspicious, moderately paranoid yes. He grinned despite himself. But a yes. 3 months later, the newly established Open Galaxy Initiative headquarters buzzed with activity. Located on Empyrean's upper levels, a location previously unthinkable for human-led organizations, the facility housed engineering teams from across the galaxy. Vex's division worked on standardizing adaptive modifications for all body types, focusing on sustainability and ease of maintenance, while providing tech support to those who may still need it. Theo headed the Historical Technology Reclamation Project, his cataloging obsession finally finding institutional support. Standing on the observation deck, they watched ships streak through Empyrean's atmosphere, many bearing the distinctive blue glow of Theo's drive modifications. Vex sighed, contemplative.
Sometimes it feels as though I'm more of a spectacle to my crew than a leader. Think humans will ever get actual respect in this galaxy?
Vex asked, leaning against the railing. They already fear us, Theo replied, grinning. Respect isn't far behind.
What's next on your break the galaxy list?
Vex chuckled. I've been thinking about their voting systems. Theo's eyes gleamed mischievously. Vex laughed.
Maybe start with something smaller, like that coffee maker you still owe me.
Deal, Theo agreed. But fair warning, it might gain sentience.
After all we've done,
Vex said, watching the city lights below,
that would hardly be the strangest thing we've created.
Ships continued to streak across the Empyrean sky. Faster, more efficient, more accessible. Above one government building, construction crews were erecting what appeared to be a statue. Its features weren't yet visible, but its placement, prominent, impossible to ignore, seemed appropriate for the changes sweeping through the galaxy. Not a perfect system, but a better one. Fixed by breaking it just enough. Breaking things better.